The story begins with Sophie being asked fundamental questions like, "Who are you?" and "Where does the world come from?" These questions set the stage for her journey into exploring the nature of existence and knowledge. The book contrasts early myths, which explain the world through stories and supernatural forces, with the rise of rational thinking, where people began to seek natural explanations for phenomena. This shift marks the beginning of using observation and logic to understand reality. In one of the most profound chapters of Sophie's world, Sophie becomes aware not just of her philosophical lessons, but of the fact that her entire existence is controlled by the true author of the story, Jostein Gaarder, who is writing the book for his daughter, Hilda. This realization is a pivotal moment where Sophie comprehends that her thoughts, actions, and reality are all dictated by an external creator, Gaarder himself. This chapter delves into Sophie's growing consciousness that she is not only part of an educational journey led by her teacher, Alberto Knox, but is also a character in a book being written by an author she has never met. The metafictional twist forces Sophie to question the nature of her own reality and whether she has any control over her life. This marks a profound shift in the story, where Sophie and Alberto begin to explore ways to defy the constraints imposed by Gaarder. Limits of free will. Sophie's awareness of Gaarder as her creator raises significant questions about free will and autonomy. If an external force writes her thoughts and actions, can she ever be truly free? Existence within a story. This revelation becomes an allegory for human beings' existential struggle to understand whether they live within a greater narrative or if they are the authors of their own destinies. Rebellion against predestination. The chapter explores Sophie's attempts to act outside the boundaries of the written story, symbolizing the human desire to break free from perceived limitations imposed by external forces, whether divine, social, or psychological. Gaarder's metafictional twist invites readers to reflect on the philosophical question of whether their lives are predetermined or if they have true agency. It blurs the line between fiction and reality, suggesting that just as Sophie questions her existence within the story, readers should question their own reality and the forces that shape it. This chapter is essential as it transforms Sophie's world from being simply a philosophical guide to an exploration of the boundaries between reality, authorship, and existence, making readers ponder whether their own lives are part of a grand narrative written by an unseen author. Sophie learns how early thinkers proposed that the world was made up of basic substances and elements, transitioning from mystical explanations to more naturalistic ones. The concept that everything is constantly changing while remaining connected to a fundamental substance is introduced. This sets the stage for thinking about the universe as a dynamic system rather than a static one.
Human reason and reality.
A significant focus is on the importance of questioning everything to uncover deeper truths. It shows that understanding the world comes not just from accepting ideas, but from probing them critically. Sophie explores the notion that there might be a perfect, unchanging reality behind the imperfect world we see. This idea leads to discussions on the duality of appearance and essence, whether what we perceive is a mere shadow of true forms.
Empirical observation and practical thinking.
The idea that the world must be studied through direct experience and evidence becomes central. Understanding the world requires using the senses, though this raises questions about how much perception can be trusted. There is an emphasis on how individuals should live in accordance with reason and virtue to achieve a balanced and fulfilling life. Synthesizing faith and reason. Integration of spiritual beliefs. Sophie learns about the attempts to blend religious teachings with rational thought, exploring how people tried to align spiritual beliefs with philosophical inquiry. Rebirth of inquiry. The revival of interest in human capabilities, scientific methods, and rediscovery of classical thought fosters a more human-centered worldview. This era emphasizes observation, experimentation, and challenging established doctrines. Questioning certainty and knowledge. Doubt as a starting point. The notion that doubting everything is a way to arrive at foundational truths is discussed. The concept of starting from a place of skepticism, where only what can be reasoned is accepted, becomes crucial. Interconnection of nature and God. Sophie considers views that the divine might be present in every part of nature, suggesting a holistic view of existence where the spiritual and the material are intertwined. Mind as a blank slate. The idea that human minds begin as blank slates, filled over time by experiences and sensory input, challenges notions of innate ideas. Experience versus rational structure. Empiricism. The belief that all knowledge comes from sensory experience is explored, posing questions about how perception and reality are connected. Sophie is confronted with the limits of human understanding based on observation alone. Perception and reality. The idea that our understanding of the world might only exist in our minds, what we perceive may not reflect an external reality, is examined, leading to questions about the nature of existence itself. A blending of ideas and ethics. Synthesis of thought. Sophie learns that the mind shapes experiences and that humans impose categories on what they perceive to make sense of the world. This blend of observation and inherent structure leads to insights about reality's limits. Emotion and nature's influence. Emotions, creativity, and personal experience become central, emphasizing that understanding life is not just about logic, but feeling connected to nature and human creativity. Focus on the individual and society. Subjective experience. Sophie explores ideas that stress the importance of the individual's perspective and the authenticity of personal choices. The idea that existence precedes essence, that people must create meaning through actions, is highlighted. The role of the community. The notion that social and economic structures influence human behavior and thought is discussed, suggesting that understanding individuals requires looking at the larger context in which they live. Evolution, the mind, and the search for meaning. Natural progress and adaptation. The idea that life changes and adapts through processes like natural selection challenges static views of the world. This brings up questions about humanity's place in the broader scope of life. Unconscious influences. The mind is revealed to be more complex, with hidden parts influencing thoughts and actions. Sophie begins to understand that much of human behavior is driven by unseen psychological forces. Freedom and responsibility. The emphasis shifts to freedom, choice, and personal responsibility. The idea that individuals must take ownership of their actions and seek authenticity becomes crucial. The nature of reality and storytelling. Reality versus fiction. Sophie comes to realize that she might be a character in a story, raising profound questions about free will and the nature of existence. This blurs the line between what is real and what is imagined, making her question who controls her fate. Final reflections. The novel ends by emphasizing that philosophical inquiry is a lifelong pursuit. It encourages readers to question their reality, think critically about their beliefs, and engage with the world as active participants. Core themes: continuous inquiry. The book stresses that philosophy is not about finding final answers, but about continually questioning and exploring. Living philosophy. It suggests that philosophy is not just academic, but a way of living that involves examining one's beliefs, values, and understanding of life. Reality's boundaries. The metafictional twist serves as a reminder that reality may be broader and more complex than it appears, urging readers to look beyond the surface and question what is taken for granted. Overall, Sophie's World is not just a journey through the history of philosophy. It is an invitation for readers to engage deeply with the same questions that have challenged humanity for centuries.